What is your name, please?
My name is Ed Method.
My name is Ed Method.
My name is Ed Method.
Only one of these men is the real Lieutenant Ed Method. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. The star of Play Your Hunch, Merv Griffin, Dina Merrill, Ralph Bellamy, and Peggy Cass on To Tell the Truth with your host, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much, and welcome once again to Tell the Truth, brought to you this week by Aerowax, made with natural wax for a shine that mops back naturally. Aerowax. Ralph, nice to have you back with us.
Thank you, Bud. Delighted to be here.
Very exciting
Always.
news that you're rehearsing for a Westinghouse special, isn't it?
Yes, on CBS, I believe.
What's the name of it?
The first day.
And when can we look for it? Pretty soon?
I think around the end of June. I've forgotten the date. We're taping it, and I think it goes on about the end of June.
We'll watch for it. Okay, panel, good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
Nice to see you down there. First time we've done this one together.
Yes.
And will you open up your envelopes, take out your affidavit cards for the first time, and follow along as I read from this first one. I, Edward Method, am a commercial airline pilot and a lieutenant in the United States Air Force. One day, while flying over Niagara Falls, my Super Sabre jet caught fire. I did not dare bail out over a populated area. With no engine and only the rudder for control, I guided the wobbly ship toward the gorge below Niagara Falls. I shot through the unfinished span of a bridge with less than 2 feet clearance at each wingtip. At only 200 feet above the cliffs of the gorge, I fired my ejection seat, which threw me clear of the ship. My parachute barely broke my fall when I hit the ground feet first in a pile of soft earth. I walked to a phone, called the base, and rode back in the front seat of the ambulance they sent for me. Signed, Lieutenant Edward Method. Now, panel, you heard these three gentlemen all claiming to be Edward Method, Air Force lieutenants, and we will start this questioning in this first round with Peggy Cass. Peggy?
Number one, is Niagara Falls in the United States?
Yes, it is.
Number two, is Niagara Falls also in Canada?
Yes, there is.
Well, that's my knowledge of Niagara Falls. How many motors, number three, how many motors does a Super Sabre jet have?
Just one.
Number two, when the ejection seat throws you up, how far up does it go before the parachute opens?
Well, the seat goes up about 50 to 100 feet, then pushes you out and opens the chute automatically.
Number one.
All right. Lieutenant number one, the affidavit says you're a commercial airline pilot and a lieutenant in the United States Air Force. Both at the same time?
Yes, sir. I was reactivated into the Air Force by President Kennedy's orders last October from the National Guard.
May I ask which commercial airline you fly for?
Yes, sir. United Airlines.
Number two, where is your Air Force base?
Niagara Falls Air Force Base.
What city is that near?
Niagara Falls, about 4 miles out of the city.
Is that a jet base?
Yes, 9,000-foot runway.
Lieutenant number three, are you a New York boy?
Yes, sir, I am.
May I ask where you trained, Lieutenant number three?
In Lackland Air Force Base in Texas.
Dina?
Lieutenant number three, what does VFR mean?
Visual flight rules, I believe.
Lieutenant number two, what does IFR mean?
Instrument flight rules.
Lieutenant number three, number one. You said when you shot through the unfinished span of a bridge, you mean like this, the things that go up like this, or underneath the bridge itself?
Well, actually, the bridge is uncompleted. It's coming from the Canadian side and the American side like this, and I went directly on through the unfinished portion.
There was no overhead.
That's right. There was no overhead. Went right on through it.
Ralph?
Number one, do you happen to know the height of the falls, height of Niagara Falls?
Well, I never did find out from anyone locally there, but I would say about 300, 400 feet.
Number two, do you know?
167 feet.
Number three, what would you say?
I don't know.
Number one, where did you serve? during the, when you were in service?
Well, most of my service was in the United States. There was no
Number
war
two-
on at the time.
Excuse me. Number two, what were the circumstances of your being reactivated by order or appointment of the president?
There was a little bit of excitement in Berlin. Reactivated 1st of October.
And what were the circumstances? Why?
Afraid we can't find out. We have to go now to the circumstances of signing and marking ballots, if you will, please, panel. So don't look so pained about it, Peggy. It'll come to you. Think it over and mark your ballots, if you will, right now without consultation. And vote as you do so for number 1, number 2, or number 3. The team of challengers will, as is customary, receive $250 for every incorrect vote. How are we doing? All ballots marked? One to go. Okay. Merv, which one did you think is the real one?
But I voted for number 2 because he is not wearing a uniform, and he's torn tonight between wearing a uniform or wearing civilian clothes in hopes that the president is watching him and will get him out of the service and back to his... That's a terrible...
Wow. What an imagination you've got.
Well...
Dina.
Well, but I voted for number 2 also. Number 3 kind of hesitated on BFR, which is something my husband, being a pilot, uses all the time. I'm sure a commercial pilot would know instantly. And I was kind of torn between number 1 and 2, but number 2 hasn't got a uniform. I voted for him.
Ralph, which one did you select?
Number 2, I think he called the height of the falls correctly, and the other 2 weren't too sure, and there seemed to be a glint in the eye with respect to the presidential reactivation or something.
And Peggy, what about your vote?
I voted for number 1 because I felt that he didn't really want to get called back, and number 2 told me more than I really cared to know. He, like, volunteered extra. So I voted for number 1.
All right, let's find out which of these systems that they can be called that is right, which one is wrong. As we, having come to that point now to make a perfect landing, we'll determine the identity of the real Air Force lieutenant. So will the real Edward Methot please stand up? Interestingly enough, you questioned him the least of any. He had fewer questions.
I believe.
Boy. I love this bouncing 10-pin thing they did as to who's up and who's down. Yes, Merv?
He said he trained in Texas, and yet he's part of the National Guard of New York?
Well, the National Guard is the National Guard. Do you care to explain that in any way?
Well, you get your training in the Air Force, and then when you get out of the service, if you wish to, you join the National Guard.
Wherever you may be.
That's what threw me.
Let's find out about the other 2. Number 1, you got a vote. Would you tell us your real name and what you really do?
My name is Gary Saunders, and I'm a general sales manager for Security Blueprint in Long Island.
Thank you. And number 2, you got most of the votes. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Malcolm Pennington, and I prepare economic analyses for the European Common Market newsletter.
Also prepared yourself very well for this show. I think before telling you what the score is, it's only fair to mention that Lieutenant Methot, by not bailing out of his plane over a populated area and thereby risking his own life, is to be awarded the Air Medal. And I think he deserves it. Now, let's check the score. We find that you really did it. You pulled the panel all the way, and that's a total of 4 incorrect votes at $250 each. You can all add that, I'm sure. It's a total of $1,000 from Aerowax. And a gift package of fine products from the makers of Aerowax. Thank you, gentlemen. We're proud to know you. Good night. God bless you. Now, a word about the protection of your floors.
Like jet-age plastic, so tough that bullets bounce off. New Aerowax has a jet-age plastic so tough, the new self-polishing shine lasts twice as long as ever before without buffing.
Yes, new Aerowax with its jet-age plastic gives you a new, long-lasting brilliance. It's so tough, you pour a dazzling self-polishing shine that lasts twice as long as ever before, yet won't yellow floors. Yes, a brilliant shine, so tough you can grind heels on it. A shine so tough that dirt doesn't dull it. A hard, bright, gleaming shine that lasts twice as long as ever before. Remember, like jet age plastic, so tough bullets bounce off. New Aero Wax has a jet age plastic for the brilliant shine that lasts twice as long as ever before, yet won't yellow floors. New Aero Wax in the new can still saves you 23 cents.
Panel, I'd like at this time to present our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Flora Gebhardt.
My name is Flora Gebhardt.
My name is Flora Gebhardt.
You follow along again, panel, with this affidavit. I, Flora Gebhardt, am a locksmith. My husband is a legal safecracker. Every 2 years, we attend the convention of the Associated Locksmiths of America. At the last convention, in competition with the top lady locksmiths, I opened a lock without a key in 1 minute, 41 seconds. I am the current national champion lady lockpicker. Signed, Flora Gebhardt. All right, here they are settled and ready to play our game. And panel, you heard them all claiming to be Flora Gebhardt, female locksmith, or lockpicker, whichever way you want to call it. We'll start this cross-examination with Merv Griffin. Merv?
Thank you, Bud. Miss Gebhardt, number one, you picked this lock without a key?
That's right.
How do you go about it?
You have a tension bar and a pick tool.
Slower, please. I want to write all this down. You have the what?
Tension bar
Tension bar.
and a little pick tool.
Pick tool.
And you go in the keyhole
Mm-hmm.
and you hold up all the pins with the tension bar.
Mm-hmm.
Straighten them out with the pick tool.
And you tickle. You agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Gebhardt, number two. And do you agree, Ms. Gebhardt, number three?
Yes.
How does your husband, Ms. Gebhardt, number three, get off by picking locks legally?
He's bonded.
A lot of us are, Ms. Gebhardt.
Dina?
Mrs. Gebhardt, number three, what does that mean when you say he's bonded?
A national association puts up a certain bond to guarantee the customer that he doesn't do anything wrong.
That makes sure he's legal.
Yes.
100 proof.
Not 100 proof.
Mrs. Gebhardt, number two, did you learn this from your husband?
Yes, I did.
You did. He also knows how to pick locks besides doing
Yes,
things.
his main business is safe cracking, but it got to be such a large business that he asked me to help.
Mrs. Gebhardt, number one, did he start out as a locksmith and then get into safe cracking?
Yes, he did. He started.
Better than the other way, to start out as a safecracker and get in a lock. Ralph?
Number one, you said you only had these two tools. I didn't write it down, as Merv did.
Merv has it.
Where does a hairpin come into it? Isn't a hairpin figure usually in picking a lock?
No, we don't use hairpins.
Well, tell me, how many legal lock pickers are there?
In the United States,
Yes.
men and women,
Yes.
there are
Well,
about 1,000 altogether.
and who are they employed by?
Well, most of them run their own businesses. Some are employed by...
It's safer that way, Ralph.
Number two, what's...
Peggy?
Number two, what are tumblers?
Tumblers are these divisions in the lock, and they have to fall a certain way when the key is placed in the lock in order for the lock to open.
Thank you. Number three, what does Mosler make?
They make safes.
Thank you. Number one, was Willie Sutton a safe cracker?
I don't know.
Number one, do you have to file your pads of your fingers down with an emery board?
No.
Oh, they do in the stories. Number two, what is Yale in town?
Yale in town is a town in Connecticut, but Yale, actually, Linus Yale invented the Yale lock.
That's it. Gotta lock up the door real tight now. Let the tumblers fall where they may. And take your wax impressions and your keys in hand and mark up those ballots, if you will, please, without any more questions. And, of course, without consultation, you will vote now for number one, number two, or number three. Okay, everybody set? All ballots marked? And we go first to... Dina, have you marked yours?
No, I will.
Merv, which one did you select this time?
But I voted for Lady Mrs. Gebhardt, number 3, for a very good reason. If I were a judge at a locksmith pickers convention and that lady picked a lock in front of me, I'd vote her number 1 locksmith picker in the whole world. In fact, I might vote her mother of the locksmith pickers of the whole world.
Dina.
Well, I voted for number 3, too. I would imagine that a profession like this takes time and experience, and I think number 3 looks as though she's had some experience in this kind of thing.
I didn't say
Looks
that.
more like she would mother a lock if she was picking. Ralph.
I voted for number 2. I thought she, well, we didn't ask her many questions, and she didn't have much information to give us. She was very quick and ready with what she did give us. Just a hunch, I guess.
Peggy?
Well, I voted for number 3 because she's my idea of a real safecracker.
Well, I hope there are some compliments hidden in there somewhere. I don't see them on the surface. But in any event, let's get to the matter of the truth right now. And we'll open up the right combination, and that will reveal the truth. And so here we go to determine which one of these ladies is the real female locksmith. So will the real Flora Gebhardt please stand up? I must say, I have to take my hat off to the dramatic way in which they're building up the suspense. Of late, they're doing more of this. It's me, it's I, it's you, it's he, and I don't know who's what here. Well, congratulations that you really the panel kind of came through. And they had to redeem themselves after the first round when they didn't guess any. Number 1, let's find out about you. What is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Jean George, and I write and illustrate children's books.
And number 2, your real name and what do you do?
My name is Sharon Renee Brown, and I am Miss Ideal Figure of 1961-62 and the current Miss United States of America.
Well, we checked the score this time. We find challengers didn't do quite as well because 3 of them really zeroed right in on you, mother of locksmith pickers or whatever you want to call yourself. And but in any event, there's 1 incorrect, and that's $250 from Aerowax. And if you had half the fun we did in the enjoyment in our company that we had in yours, that's more than made up for. Thank you very much, and collect a gift package of the fine products from the makers of Aerowax on your way out. Good night to you, and God bless you. Now a word about Dristan Nasal Mist.
Hay fever victims, stop living behind a handkerchief. Now get fast relief from nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, pollen irritations with Dristan Nasal Mist. In seconds, Dristan Mist penetrates deep, deep into pollen-irritated passages, clears congestion, checks sneezing, helps dry up runny nose, actually helps curb further pollen irritation. This hay fever season, get relief in seconds with Dristan Nasal Mist.
And now a word about heat.
Arthritis or rheumatism's minor pain, no matter how hard you rub, no salve, no liniment penetrates into muscles, joints, bones. Now get immediate relief, hours of relief. Get heat. Heat works the only counter-irritation way doctors everywhere accept. Brush on heat. Immediately, heat penetrates into your skin, replaces such pain arising from deep inside with soothing warmth. Relief lasts for hours. For arthritis or rheumatism's minor pain, get immediate relief. Get heat.
Now, panel, let's meet our 3rd team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is William Montagna.
My name is William Montagna.
My name is William Montagna.
Follow along with this affidavit, if you will, please, panel. I, William Montagna, am a university professor of biology engaged in a study of the skin structure of primates, that group of animals which includes man as well as monkeys. The studies naturally led to the examination of the human scalp and produced, among other things, these interesting facts about baldness in men. Becoming bald as one grows older is a normal, not an abnormal condition. Baldness is hereditary. A man's hairline starts to recede before he is born. Bald heads are actually shinier. A normal scalp contains about 100,000 hairs, which grow at a combined rate of approximately 1 mile per month. And finally, the virility of a man bears absolutely no relation to the amount of hair on his head. Signed, William Montagna. Here we have 3 gentlemen, panel. 1 with and 2 without, I guess you might say. All claiming to be William Montagna, biology professor, and we'll start this round with Ralph Bellamy. Ralph?
Number 1, there's an island in the Caribbean which is almost completely inhabited by monkeys. Do you know the name of it?
The San Juan Island.
Number 2, would you say this is correct?
Yes.
Number 3, would you agree?
Correct.
Number 1, what's your university?
Brown University.
I suppose I get 3 different answers. Number 2, what's your university?
Rutgers University.
Rutgers. Number 3, where are you from?
Yale University.
Very good. Number 1, the affidavit says that there's absolutely anyway, that it's a normal procedure. What about these groups that offer to grow hair and guarantee to grow hair? Is this a possibility in your estimation?
It is not a possibility in my estimation.
Not.
Peggy.
Number 1, please. How many layers of the human skin?
There are 2 layers.
In the human skin?
Yes.
Number 3, how many layers in a monkey's skin?
2.
2. Number 2, does a red-headed person have as many hairs as does the color of the head determine the amount of hairs on the head?
No, ma'am.
Number 1, do you agree with that?
I do indeed.
Number 3.
Merv.
Number 1, is it unheard of for baldness to be, I know you'll disagree with this word, cured?
Not cured. There's no such a thing as curing something which is a natural occurrence.
Is it possible, number 1, for it to grow back?
Unlikely. It is most unlikely.
Do you agree, number 2?
Yeah.
Number 3, do you agree?
No. There are certain types of baldness that can be cured. They're the pathological types of baldness. And the hair falls out in clumps.
Falls out in what?
Clumps.
Clumps.
Dina.
Number 2, what is erythrophil?
I do not know.
What is what?
Erythrophil.
Oh.
Number 1, what is erythrophil?
Red something or other. I don't know.
Number 3, do you know?
I'm in the same boat.
And I took biology in high school. What is xanthrophil, number 3?
Sorry.
Number 2? Number 1?
I don't think your first word was very well said.
Forgive me. It's been a long time.
Xanthophyll is yellow pigment.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it. Time is gone, I'm sorry to say. So I hope you had your fill of xanthophyll or whatever and ready to mark your ballot. So will you kindly do so now, panel? Pencils in hand and cards in front of you, mark them up. Without consultation, vote for number 1, number 2, or number 3. Okay, Merv, for whom did you vote this time?
Number 3, would you tell us what your real name is and what you really... I voted for number 3, Bud. I like his description of how it comes out in clumps. If he's the real professor, anybody who'd use that kind of terminology deserves a vote. Clumps.
Every time you hear any clump near you, you'll be looking around to see how much hair you've lost.
Well, my clumps are fine, Bud.
Dina.
Well, I voted for my number 1 who knew about my xanthrophil.
Okay.
Really?
Ralph.
I voted for number 3. Actually, I touted myself off number 1 for the same reason that Merv went along with the objection. Oh.
System.
Anyway, number 3.
And Peggy.
Well, I voted for number 3, although about that xanthrophil, I never heard of it. He did. But number 3 just seems to just kind of know about hair.
He also had faith in its regrowth, you'll notice. All right, there we have it. Moment of truth once again. Bald or not, let's go right smack to the growth of the truth in our own particular medium here as we learn which one of these gentlemen is the real biology professor. So will the real William Montagna please stand up. Thank you very much, Professor. We also thank Brown University for making your appearance possible on this show tonight. Oh, boy. Well,
You and your
clumps. Number 2, would you tell us your real name and what you really do, please?
My name is Charles Matz. I'm a freelance fiction writer.
And number 3, you fooled the panel the best. What is your real name and what do you do?
My name is Bill Nightingale, and I'm a cartoonist and promotion manager for Supermarket News.
Well, in checking the score, we find there were 3 incorrect clumps of votes, I should say. And at $250 each, that brings us a total this time of $750, gentlemen. Not bad. And you had some laughs with us, too, and so did we. We thank you for that. On your way out, you'll receive also a gift package of the fine products from the makers of Aerowax. Thanks for being with us. Good night, and happy hair growing. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm taking no chances. I don't care whether it'll help or not. Let's not take any chances. Panel, thank you for the joy you always bring me personally, and I know that you bring to our audience as well. Good night to you.
Thank you.
Good night. Bud Collier is saying good night from Aerowax and reminding you to tell the truth. Good night, everybody.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. Tell the Truth has been brought to you tonight by Aerowax, made with natural wax for a shine that mops back naturally. Aerowax. This is Johnny Olson saying goodnight for To Tell the Truth. This program was pre-recorded.